मेन तस्मै श्री कदानकं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सगण ललिता श्रीविष्णुपादांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधा कान्त नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So we are there in the fourth chapter, sloka number 32. We will continue from here. एवं बहुविधा यज्ञा वितता ब्रह्मणो मुखे कर्मज्ञान विद्धितान् सर्वान् एवं ज्ञात्वा विमोक्षसे. All these different types of sacrifices are approved by the Vedas, and all of them are born of different kinds of work. Knowing them as such, you will become liberated. Purport: different types of sacrifices, as discussed above, are mentioned in the Vedas to suit the different types of worker, because men are so deeply absorbed in the bodily concept. These sacrifices are so arranged that one can work either with the body, with the mind, or with the intelligence. But all of them are recommended for ultimately bringing about liberation from the body. This is confirmed by the Lord herewith from his own mouth. So we see that all different yajnas, they are ultimately for the purpose of liberation. Text 33. Shreyan dravyam maya yajnat jnana yajnat parantapa sarvam karma kilam partha jnane pare samapyate. O chastiser of enemy, the sacrifice performed in knowledge is better than the mere sacrifice of material possessions. After all, O son of Pritha, all sacrifices of work culminate in transcendental knowledge. So here we see that all kinds of sacrifices ultimately culminates in the transcendental knowledge. That's a very important thing of the sacrifice. So finally, we have to come to the platform of knowledge, and from there we have to get to the position of liberation. Purport: the purpose of all sacrifices is to arrive at the status of complete knowledge, then to gain release from material miseries, and ultimately to engage in loving transcendental service to the Supreme Lord, that is Krishna consciousness. Nonetheless, there is a mystery about all these different activities of sacrifice, and one should know this mystery. Sacrifices sometimes take different forms according to particular faith of the performer. When one's faith reaches the stage of transcendental knowledge, the performer of sacrifices should be considered more advanced than those who simply sacrifice material possessions without such knowledge. For without attainment of knowledge, sacrifices remain on material platform and bestow no spiritual benefit. So sometimes people ask that, there are people who are sacrificing their hard-earned money, and they're doing charity and things like that and all. So, but then, so is that of some great use? So yeah, that's punya, but then it is not going to give them the transcendental knowledge, and because it is not going to give them transcendental knowledge, this is not considered to be a great sacrifice. So, like a person in Krishna consciousness, or sacrifices that are performed for achieving liberation, so they are considered to be more better and higher forms of sacrifice. Okay, real knowledge culminates in Krishna consciousness, the highest stage of transcendental knowledge. Without the elevation of knowledge, sacrifices are simply material activities. When, however, they are elevated to the level of transcendental knowledge. All such activities enter into the spiritual platform, depending on differences in consciousness. Sacrificial activities are sometimes called as karma kanda, fruitive activities, and sometimes jnana kanda, knowledge in pursuit of truth. It is better when the end is knowledge. Right? So here we see that if the transcendental knowledge is the end of our search or of our all our sacrifices and endeavors, so then it is now considered to be best. And all other kinds of sacrifices, they are uh, not recommended. They are not because it's not serving the purpose of getting transcendental knowledge. And why only transcendental knowledge? Because we saw that the our material uh, the life in the material world is there because of the ignorance that is there, and transcendental knowledge is the one which can actually liberate us, and that's why it is very, very important. And we saw that the highest form of transcendental knowledge is the loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord. The text 34, तद्विद्धि प्रणिपातेन परिप्रश्नेन सेवया उपदेक्षन्ति ते ज्ञानं ज्ञानिनस्तत्त्वदर्शिनः. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, inquire from him submissively, and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. Purport. The path of spiritual realization is undoubtedly difficult. The Lord therefore advises us to approach a bona fide spiritual master in the line of disciplic succession from the Lord himself. No one can be bona fide spiritual master without following the principle of disciplic succession. Okay, why does Prabhupada speak about disciplic succession here? It's just mentioning that no, you just learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. So, if we all remember the beginning of the 4th chapter, we saw this like no evam parampara praptam imam raja rishyo viduhu. So we saw that this parampara system is established by the Lord in the beginning itself. So that's why Prabhupada is using that over here in the purport. Okay. And no one can be a bona fide spiritual master without following the principle of disciplic succession. The Lord is the original spiritual master, and a person in disciplic succession can convey the message of the Lord as it is to his disciple. No one can be spiritually realized by manufacturing his own process, as is the fashion of the foolish pretenders. The Bhagavatam 6.3.19 says, Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. The path of religion is directly enunciated by the Lord. Therefore, mental speculation or dry arguments cannot help lead one to the right path, nor by independent study of books of knowledge can one progress in spiritual life. One has to approach a bona fide spiritual master to receive the knowledge. Such a spiritual master should be accepted in full surrender, and one should serve the spiritual master like a menial servant without false prestige. Satisfaction of the self-realized spiritual master is the secret of advancement in spiritual life. Inquiries and submission constitute the proper combination of spiritual understanding. Unless there is submission and service, inquiries from the learned spiritual master will not be effective. One must be able to pass the test of the spiritual master. And when he sees the genuine desire of the disciple, he automatically blesses the disciple with genuine spiritual understanding. In this verse, both blind following and absurd inquiries are condemned. Not only should one hear submissively from the spiritual master, but one must also get a clear understanding from him in submission and service and inquiries. A bona fide spiritual master is by nature very kind towards his disciple. Therefore, when the student is submissive and is always ready to render service, the reciprocation of knowledge and inquiries become perfect. So here, this is a very, very important sloka where we see that the way in which we can get the transcendental knowledge is mentioned. So in the previous sloka, like in the whole context of this 3rd chapter, ending of 3rd chapter is the ignorance that which is catching us, and because of that we get into the modes of nature, and it's the knowledge that which can liberate us, and that's how the 4th chapter started. And then here we Krishna defined what is knowledge. Knowledge means to to remember the Lord and to think of the pastimes of the Lord and things like that. So, and to understand that we are part and parcel of the Lord. So this is the knowledge, and then here we see that how to get that knowledge, so that we should approach a bona fide spiritual master, render service unto him, and inquire from him, and things like that. So that's the way we can actually get the transcendental knowledge. And then we saw that how to do that, how to approach. So we have to approach a spiritual master, render menial services, and then we should inquire from him. And the spiritual master, being a tattvadarshi, means he who is able to see the truth, he can actually impart the knowledge to the disciple. It is not that by our own self-study or things like that. No, that is not the way of understanding this knowledge. It has to be understood from a person who has realized the knowledge. Text 35. Yajnatva na punarmoham yeva yashyasi pandava yena bhutani asheshani dakshasyatmani atomai. Having obtained real knowledge from a self-realized soul, you will never fall again into such illusion. For by this knowledge, you will see that all living beings are but parts of the Supreme, or in other words, they are mine. Purport. The result of receiving knowledge from a self-realized soul, or one who knows things as they are, is learning that all living entities all living beings are parts and parcels of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna. The sense of an existence separate from Krishna is called Maya. Ma means not, and Ya means this. So Maya means not this. Some think that we have nothing to do with Krishna, that Krishna is only a great historical personality, and that the Absolute is the impersonal Brahman. Actually, as as it is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, the impersonal Brahman is the personal effulgence of the Lord. Krishna, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the cause of everything. So it is mentioned, Brahmano hi Prakishta Aham. So in the Brahma Samhita, it is clearly stated that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes. Even the millions of incarnations are only his different expansions. Similarly, the living entities are also expansions of Krishna. The Mayavadi philosophers wrongly think that Krishna loses his own separate existence in his many expansions. This thought is material in nature. We have experience in the material world that a thing, when fragmentally distributed, loses its own original identity. But the Mayavadi philosophers fail to understand that absolute means that 1 plus 1 is equal to 1, that 1 minus 1 is also equal to 1. This is the case in the absolute world. For want of sufficient knowledge in the absolute science, we are now covered with illusion, and therefore we think that we are separate from Krishna. Although we are separated parts of Krishna, we are nevertheless non different from him. The bodily difference of the living entities is Maya, or not actual fact. We are all meant to satisfy Krishna. By Maya alone, Arjuna thought that the temporary bodily relationship with his kinsman was more important than his eternal spiritual relationship with Krishna. The whole teaching of Gita is targeted towards this end, that a living being, as Krishna's eternal servitor, cannot be separated from Krishna, and his sense of being an identity apart from Krishna is called Maya. So this we studied even in the Chaturshloki Bhagavatam, that anything that we perceive as different from Krishna, that is called Maya. Right? So the living entities, as separate parts and parcels of the Supreme, have a purpose to fulfill. Having forgotten that purpose, since just a minute. So the living entities as separate parts and parcels of the Supreme have a purpose to fulfill. Having forgotten that purpose, since time immemorial, they are situated in different bodies, as men, animals, demigods, etc. Such bodily differences arise from forgetfulness of transcendental service of the Lord. But when one is engaged in transcendental service through Krishna consciousness, one becomes at once liberated from this illusion. One can acquire such pure knowledge only from the bona fide spiritual master, and thereby avoid the delusion that the living entity is equal to Krishna. Perfect knowledge is that the Supreme Soul Krishna is the shelter for all living entities. And giving up such shelter, the living entities are deluded by material energy, imagining themselves to have a separate identity. Thus, under different standards of material identity, they become forgetful of Krishna. When, however, such deluded living entities become situated in Krishna consciousness, it is to be understood that they are on the path of liberation, as confirmed in the Bhagavatam. Muktir hitva anyata rupam swarupena vyavastitihi. So, liberation means to be situated in one's constitutional position as an eternal servitor of Krishna, that is Krishna consciousness. So, we see that this is the effective definition of the liberation. So, that means we have the mukti means to give up all other forms, hitva, anyata, rupam, and then swarupena vyavastitihi, to be situated in our original swarupa. And what is the original swarupa? To be a servant of Krishna. Okay, text 36. Apichet asi papebhyah sarvebhyah papakrit krittamah sarvam jnana plavenaiva vigna brij brij vrijinam santarishyasi. Okay. Even if you are considered to be the most sinful of all sinners, when you are situated in the boat of transcendental knowledge, you will be able to cross over the ocean of miseries. This is a very nice, this one. This is the hope actually. Whatever may be our position, the boat of transcendental knowledge is very, very powerful. Knowledge means that which can destroy the sin. Immediately, like how much ever a person is a sinner, if he takes shelter of the process of acquiring transcendental knowledge, then he comes out of all the sins and he becomes a very amazing person. Purport: proper understanding of one's constitutional position in relationship to Krishna is so nice that it can at once lift one from the struggle for existence which goes on in the ocean of nishanes. This material world is sometimes regarded as an ocean of nishanes and sometimes as a blazing forest. In the ocean, however expert a swimmer one may be, the struggle for existence is very severe. If someone comes forward and lifts the struggling swimmer from the ocean, he is the greatest savior. Perfect knowledge received from the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the path of liberation. The boat of Krishna consciousness is very simple, but at the same time, the most sublime. So here we can see that how this, we are all suffering in this material ocean. We have fallen into this material ocean. How much ever we are an expert swimmer, we cannot cross an ocean. So it requires the mercy of the Lord, in the form of transcendental knowledge, and that's what can actually save us from this material ocean. Okay, text 37. Yataidhamsi samsiddhognir basmasat kuruterjuna jnanagnihi sarvakarmani basmasat kurute tata. As a blazing fire turns firewood to ashes, O Arjuna, so does the fire of knowledge burns to ashes all reactions to material activities. Purport: perfect knowledge of the self and super self and their relationship is compared herein to fire. This fire not only burns up all the reactions to impious activities, but also all reactions to pious activities, turning them to ashes. Basically, all material reactions are burned to ashes. There are many stages of reaction in the reaction in making, reaction fructifying, reaction already achieved, and reaction um, a priori. So this is technically called as the papam, when a sinful act is performed, and then a bija, a seed of performing further sinful actions are sown into the system, and then prarabdha, aprarabdha, and kutam and things like that. Is these are all the technical terms for which here Prabhupada has given the English. So there are reactions in the making, in fructifying, in
the reaction already achieved, that is no prarabdha, and like then after that we see that reactions a priori, no aprarabdha, right? So there's all different things that are there. So it's basically like it's like a pipeline. Now we commit a sinful action, so till the time we get the reaction, there is a pipeline that is there. So in the pipeline, the different stages are named in different way. Okay, but knowledge of the constitutional position of the living entity burns everything to ashes. This means till the time we think something apart from as a servant of Krishna, then we are supposed to know get all the sinful reactions. The moment we become fixed up in this knowledge that I am a servant of Krishna, then we don't need to suffer anymore this ones. Immediately the knowledge actually burns up all the reactions to ashes. The whole pipeline is set on fire, right? So everything gets burned. Okay. When one is in complete knowledge, all reactions, both a priori and posteriori, are consumed. In the Vedas, Brahadaranyaka Upanishad 4.4.22, it is stated, Ube uhai vaisha ete tarat amrita sadva asadhuni. One overcomes both the pious and impious reactions of work, just by this process of knowledge. Okay, text 38. Nahi jnanena sadrisham पवित्रम इह विद्यते तत्स्वयं योग संसिद्धः कालेनात्मनि विन्दति. In this world, there is nothing so sublime and pure as transcendental knowledge. Such knowledge is the mature fruit of all mysticism, and one who has become accomplished in the practice of devotional service enjoys this knowledge within himself in due course of time. So, as we have always been discussing, knowledge means to be situated in the service of the Lord, or to be situated in the spiritual platform. And knowledge means it destroys all the sins, and knowledge means also happiness, a deep sense of happiness that a person enjoys. So when we perform devotional service, what happens? We are engaging our senses in we are engaging the tongue in honoring the prasadam of the Lord, eyes in seeing the form of the Lord, and hands in touching the paraphernalia of the Lord or the devotees of the Lord. And in this way, we are using all our senses in the service of the Lord. The senses become purified. And then once the senses become purified, so the knowledge arises. Janayati ashu vairagyam jnanam cha yadahetukam, right? So Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita. So by performing devotional service, the knowledge arises, and when the knowledge arises, there is a deep sense of happiness and satisfaction from within, right? So this is the thing yogi is supposed to do, and his main business is how to engage the senses, especially in Krishna consciousness. We are so fortunate. It is such a practical process where all our senses can be nicely utilized in the service of the Lord, who is beyond the modes of material nature. And because of that, we also, all our senses also crosses beyond modes of material nature over a period of time. Right? Okay, now let's see. Purport. When we speak of transcendental knowledge, we do so in terms of spiritual understanding. As such, there is nothing so sublime and pure as transcendental knowledge. Ignorance is the cause of our bondage, and knowledge is the cause of our liberation. This knowledge is the mature fruit of devotional service, and when one is situated in the transcendental knowledge, he need not search for peace elsewhere, for he enjoys peace within himself. In other words, this knowledge and peace culminates in Krishna consciousness. That is the last word in the Bhagavad Gita. So it's very, very amazing, this one. So when we do our chanting, or even when we honor prasadam, so we should remember all these things, that I am doing the greatest of actions in the whole creation. I am engaging my senses in the process of Krishna consciousness, and this is going to purify my senses. And the senses, when it is purified, knowledge is going to come. When knowledge comes, it is going to destroy the sin, and it's going to destroy the ignorance. And once the ignorance is destroyed, then I'm liberated. So that's the amazing aspect. So just by chanting the names of the Lord, dancing for the pleasure of the Lord, and eating prasadam, that which is offered to the Lord, and chanting the names of the Lord, hearing the glories of the Lord in the form of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So we are making tremendous advancement in the transcendental knowledge. The senses are getting purified, in an ultimate way, right? In a very, very fast track. So, we are very, very fortunate to have this Krishna consciousness, the Bhakti Yoga process, and to understand this Bhakti Yoga process as the ultimate. So many times Mayavadis, they tell that, this Bhakti Yoga process is like childlike process. What they are doing, they are eating nicely, they are sleeping nicely, and they're doing all the things. Then how are they going to advance in Krishna consciousness? But then, Krishna consciousness is a very amazing process. The Mayavadis have only one thing, that they can study and they can contemplate, and they have a very tough time, doing their process. In fact, Krishna mentions in 12th chapter, Klesho adikatarastesham. Klesha means miseries. Klesha adikatarastesham avyakta ashakta chetasam. So those people who are attached to avyakta, ashakta. Ashakti means attachment. Avyakta means the impersonal form. So those who are attached to the impersonal form, for them it is klesho adikatarastesham. The process is very painful. The end is also very painful. They just have to merge in the Brahma Jyoti. They're not going to have any relationship with Krishna. They're not going to have any fun with the Supreme Lord. So it's all, the beginning is miserable, the end is miserable. So, but for devotees, like, the beginning is happy and the end is happy. Like, it's all that happens is bliss. So in this way, we are purifying our senses, and we are giving rise to the transcendental knowledge to appear in our system, and then that's very, very pleasing to the heart. Okay, text 39. Shraddhava labhate jnanam tatparasam yathendriyah jnanam labdva param shantim achirena digacchati. A faithful man who is dedicated to the transcendental knowledge and who subdues his senses is eligible to achieve such knowledge, and having achieved it, he quickly attains the supreme spiritual peace. Purport. Such knowledge in Krishna consciousness can be achieved by a faithful person who believes firmly in Krishna. One is called a faithful man who thinks that simply by acting in Krishna consciousness he can attain the highest perfection. So this is the Shraddha Shabde Vishwashakhay Shuddrida Nischay Krishna Bhakti Kaila Sarva Karma Krita Hai. That is called the definition of Shraddha. And here Prabhupada in a simple words he is writing, one is called a faithful man who thinks that simply by acting in Krishna consciousness he can attain the highest perfection. So Shraddha Shabde Vishwashakhay Shuddrida Nischay like Krishna Bhakti Kaile Sarva Karma Krita Hai. So just by doing Krishna Bhakti, sarva karma krita hai. Everything is done. Everything that is needed is done. So that is the faith. If somebody is having weak faith, then he will say like, okay, something is lacking. If I do Krishna consciousness, I have to do something else, and then I have to do Krishna consciousness. Then the faith is lacking. It's only Krishna consciousness is sufficient enough. That's Dhrida Nischay. That is very solid faith. Okay, this faith is attained by discharge of devotional service and by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, which cleanses one's heart of all material dirt. Over and above this, one should control the senses. A person who is faithful to Krishna and who controls the senses can easily attain perfection in the knowledge of Krishna consciousness, which is without delay. Right? Okay, so today we will stop here. Basically, we were in a traveling, and we kind of took up the call while traveling. So we'll have to get back to some other work. So thank you all for joining, and hope the audio was clear during this travel. So we will again meet tomorrow. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada Book Marathon ki jai. Hare Krishna.